Hey guys, welcome back. This week's episode is a special one because I'm recording it right from Engage Summits, the 3-day immersive experience for luxury wedding professionals. If you're not familiar with Engage, it's essentially the hub for top planners, photographers, designers, luxury brands, and creatives in our industry. It's where people come to learn, be inspired, connect, dream a little bigger about what's possible in the world of high-end weddings. This is my fourth time attending, which still feels surreal. Every time I come back, I'm reminded of how much this summit has shaped the way I think about my business, the kind of clients I want to serve, and the level of experience I want to give the couples who trust me with their day. It's the kind of environment that pushes you without feeling overwhelming because everyone here is genuinely invested in elevating the industry together. So there's early morning sessions and then late night parties. So you really have to time everything so that you get the most out of it. And I want to bring you along on my journey, and I'm going to be breaking things down day by day. So I'll be sharing what each day looks like, what I'm learning, the people I'm meeting, and the ideas that are sparking. Think of this as a little behind the scenes audio diary of Engage, what it's really like to be here, and the moments that inspire me each time that I attend. So let's jump into day one. I just got here, and the first thing that you do is you go straight to the gifting room or area. And we got a bottle of wine that was personalized. They gave us really awesome jackets and even a pair of Uggs. So, a big part of Engage is the gifting. They just really have this elevated experience that they want to give you. And this is something that when you get into the luxury sector of wedding photography, you'll notice that it's just everything is an elevated experience from A to Z. One fun thing about it is that every day you have two themes. You have a mood board of attire for the daytime and then one for the nighttime. So right now it's Spanish style, a little more casual. This year we're in Santa Barbara. So it's taking place at the Ritz-Carlton Santa Barbara. I think tomorrow night we're going to Rosewood Miramar Beach for a dinner. We're going to be starting the opening session soon, and that is where there are introductions and inspiring speakers, and I can't wait to report back who's up there on the stage and really looking forward to it. All right, I'm back. This time it's the evening of day one. We had, like I said, the opening session, and there were some very inspiring speeches. I took some notes, and these are some of the takeaways I had from some of the speakers. Lindsay Conklin with La Rev, videographer, he had us all in tears because he spoke about kind of like the work-life balance, but specifically about being a parent and missing important events sometimes because of our work. And I think that resonated with so many of us. And also he took videos of some of the professionals in industry and of their kids talking about them. And that was so touching. And really, I think the lesson was that kids are resilient. They're going to be okay with you missing things here and there as long as you're there for most of the milestones, the birthdays, and they understand more than we think they do. They understand why what we do is important, and it was just very enlightening and emotional. I love that we had a videographer on the stage for on the main stage for this opening session because I don't think I've ever seen a photographer or videographer. I may be wrong, but from what I remember, it's been mostly like planners and other people in the industry. So it was kind of really cool to get perspective from a videographer. Some of the things that Lindsay Conklin mentioned that I took away were in order to have a work-life balance, you have to implement boundaries. It's okay to say no to some things. Of course, you don't want to say no to something that would be a standout career move, but you don't have to say yes to everything. So that's where boundaries come in. Something else that I thought was really interesting that he talked about was redefining success. So I think most people think of success as making the most money that you can, having the most accolades. But for some of us, success is being able to be there for your family. Even though I just talked about missing events because of work, we also get to be there for a lot of things like school pickup because of the flexibility in this work. Another speaker, Josh Spiegel, amazing. He talked more about the ROI of attending these networking events like Engage. And something that I took away is making the ask. If you don't ask, who is going to give it to you? People like clarity. So I've always wanted everything based on my merit, but sometimes you have to make people aware of even who you are and reach out to them and let them know that you're interested with working with them. And he said to take the opportunity you want, even if the pay isn't there. For instance, a planner that you want to work with, it will pay off. And the way that you build a reputation that makes people want to work with you is the first time that you work with them. And I've mentioned this before, is giving your 100%, just showing up and over delivering. So they'll have trust in being able to hire you for future events. The thing is, people think that they can show up to Engage or any other networking conference, speak with someone for 5 minutes, feel like they related to them or made some kind of connection, and then expect to get work. And that is not how it works. You have to be able to show them that you are reliable and that they can trust you. Of course, liking you is important too, and that's the first step. So, yes, having those 5 minutes with someone so that you can be somewhat memorable when you reach out is great. Then Lynn Easton took the stage, and I've seen her speak several times, and she's always very inspiring. She's just down to the brass tacks. The first thing that Lynn Easton talked about was showing vulnerability on social media. She said that's not something she used to do, and I know a lot of us want to resist showing some of ourselves, our personal selves, on social media. But not even just that. If you're not comfortable with showing much of your personal life, also just pulling the curtain back on events that you do and showing behind the scenes. People like to see the process and what it takes to get to the final product. She also mentioned that our responsibility is to leave the industry better and have us all collectively elevate. So, supporting each other, revealing the way we do things. For instance, she has a method for her timelines. And now she is sharing that method and that software with other planners that want to elevate the way they do their logistics and timelines. And then the last speaker was Simon T. Bailey. He is an award winning keynote speaker, coach, and author. So, of course, this was going to be very inspiring, and it was. When he first came out, he got us all to stand up and start dancing with him. And that just like put us into a great mood. And we were ready to hear all of his jokes and inspiring quotes. One thing that he said was, we need to amplify others because it gives us a helper's high. So you should try noticing this the next time that you help someone, how it makes you feel. And it's okay to give a little something extra for nothing. And I don't think there's enough of that kind of support. I do think there is a lot of competition and comparing. And I think we should all be very supportive of each other. I loved that that was his message because sometimes that's lost in the hustle. All right, so that's it for day one. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about more of what I've learned. I think I'm going to talk less about the nighttime events just because it's mostly about networking and having fun. I don't know. I might mention if something's super cool, but I do want to concentrate on what I've learned during the education portion. So see you tomorrow. Okay, I'm back. This is day 3 of Engage. I did not record yesterday for this episode, but I did record with my friend Camilla Margata, another photographer from San Diego, close to me, close to Orange County. And she had a lot of valuable insights. So that's going to be the next episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. This is the last day. It has been a whirlwind. I'm a little bit tired, but it's all worth it. We had a lot of education, and I want to go finish up everything I've learned in these last 3 days. I already told you about the speakers that spoke on the main stage for the opening session, and it's just everything has been so insightful. So on the second day, we had more speakers on the main stage. And then today we had breakout sessions where we're in smaller groups and it's more niched down to the topics that are more interesting to our category. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit tired. This is definitely go, 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 all worth it. Lots of socializing, lots of amazing food here at the Ritz-Carlton in Santa Barbara, and just so much to look at. We had the first gala last night, and that was really quite an experience. We went to the Rosewood Miramar Beach, and they had a black tent, and everything was just amazing, like black and white decor. And there was an orchestra and dancers. There were dueling pianos. So anyway, this conference is definitely the top of the top. I've been able to speak with people that I have admired. I really enjoyed meeting Jason Rhee, and he also spoke on the stage yesterday. Let me go through the things that I think would be very valuable for you all to learn. This is a luxury conference, but there are things that we can take away from everyone who has spoken and that we can help build our business to be luxury or just to better it. Again, you may not want to go to the luxury level, but giving good service, getting good insights on the business and the market and all that is going to help your business no matter what. Okay, so the first speaker was Tyler Spear, and he is the planner from Santa Barbara who put this whole thing on. And I was just very impressed with everything that he thought of. He told us the themes of each day and why he chose them. And I really loved that on the first day during the gifting, the theme was butterflies. And it's because there are monarch butterflies that make their way down from Canada to Mexico and stop in Santa Barbara for a week or two. On the bluff, you can just see all of these beautiful butterflies. So already that put us all into like a very calming mood. One thing the biggest thing I took away from what he said was comparison is the thief of joy. And I think we can all relate to that. It's hard not to compare to others, but it's best to know that what you're doing is right for you. And you don't need to be exactly like another photographer or as just any other colleague. Even if you look up to them, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes to have gotten them where they are. You don't know what connections they have or what kind of circles they may have already run into that allow them to do the kinds of weddings that they do, or just don't compare yourself. I know it's hard, but it's just best to like focus on everything that you think will be best for you in your business and really what brings you joy. You have different circumstances from other photographers. You may have a family, or you may be able to travel more. People have different goals in the kinds of weddings they want to shoot and the way they run their business. So it really doesn't help you at all to compare yourself to others. Now, what a joy, what a treat that we had Mindy Weiss speak. So she was next, and I've never heard her speak, or I haven't been in the same room as her. I didn't know how funny she was, but yeah, she's hilarious. I really loved one thing that she said was that she gets her inspiration from all of us in the industry and that she looks at what we put out there and it's just very inspiring to her. And that kind of goes back to the comparing and, you know, I like that mentality that you look at other people's work as inspiration, not something that you have to compare yourself to or even imitate. When she was asked if she has a work life balance, she said no. Just point blank, no. But she says that her kids definitely appreciate the life that she's given them. I think as a parent, that's going back to parent talk. That's something that we have to remember. We're giving a great example to our kids that we have a good work ethic, but we're also still taking care of them. The next speaker was David Stark from David Stark Design. He said, even though we only show everything as perfect on social media, things go wrong all the time. The mark of a good producer is how you think on your feet when something goes wrong. People want to do business with people they want to hang out with. And I've heard that time and time again. And it makes sense. You can be the most talented photographer, but that is not what's going to just be the thing that gets you in the door with other vendors or planners recommending you. People are going to be working with you all day, and how you treat them, your personality, all of that matters. I loved this quote from him. Art is the heart and soul of what we do. And we have to remember that. He also said, what a privilege to be in an industry where we are paid to create joy. I just love that positive outlook. And we have to remember why we are in this industry in the first place. It's not just to make money, because this is not the easiest way to make money. It's definitely a lot of hustle, as you all probably already know. Oh my gosh, I loved Jason Rhee. You guys look him up. Rhee is his last name. He spoke about a health crisis that he had in the middle of a huge wedding that was being planned. What he took from this whole traumatic experience is that the power of our industry is how we are resilient. We recover, we build. This industry is built on people who support people. Recovery sometimes looks like allowing yourself a reward without having done anything for it. Those are the key points that I took away from him. But also, he was just such a joy to watch and listen, even though he was talking about a health crisis that put him in the hospital for weeks. And he had to plan this wedding from the hospital and had so much support from his team and also his family and friends jumping in to help him. But the whole time, there was just so much joy in him and a spark that I just loved. So we spoke afterwards. He was so welcoming and friendly, and I'm such a big fan. And then we had Jefferson Fisher. He's an attorney and he's the author of The Next Conversation. And we all got a book. And the book's name is The Next Conversation, and that was very generous of him. And he talked about mastering the art of impactful communication. So even though he's not in the wedding industry, what his book is about and what he spoke about, communication is something that is a lesson in anyone's business and something that I don't think any of us think about enough. He says communication is hard. And the way he means it is that words have a ripple effect that will last forever. So you really have to say things with control. So you control your response. When someone says something that you don't like undermining your authority, you take it as something to learn, not something to prove. How can I understand and validate where they are coming from? So really, it's kind of like taking your ego out of it. And I think this is something that we all needed to hear. Also, how to sound more assertive. I don't know if any of you have had issues with maybe being a little too nice. I feel like we're all somewhat of people pleasers, but to sound more assertive, you can cut the unnecessary apologies. So there is no reason to apologize for things that weren't your fault. Instead, you change the words to gratitude. Like instead of saying, sorry, I'm late, you can say, thank you for waiting for me. Also, this was interesting. Use less adverbs like literally, obviously, basically. They're not necessary. Neither is the word just or very. I guess what I took from that is you can just speak directly, say it in a direct way, and those are more like fluff. Another thing that I think a lot of us have a hard time doing is saying no. And he says that people don't like to be told straight out no or what they can't do. So you can begin with saying, I'm telling you this because, or you want me to tell you no, and here's why. I thought that one was interesting. Another way you can lessen the blow of something that's somewhat negative is instead of saying, don't get upset, you say the inverse. You say, you're probably going to get upset, but so, it's kind of like reverse psychology. The moment you say, don't get upset, the tendency is to already prepare yourself to be upset. So, yeah, that's all things we can try. Next speaker was Brian Raffinelli. One thing that I took from him was that nowadays people are choking on the sea of sameness. So how can we disrupt that even with tiny shifts? So again, back to comparing and imitating, it's something that we need to strive to be able to show our uniqueness. And then we had Danielle Frankel, the dress designer, and she was asked what it feels like when people imitate her designs. And she says that imitation causes a spark for her to do even better or to be more unique. So kind of tying into what Brian Raffinelli said. And she said that her growth in business has been calculated, but she also gambled. And I do think that that is something that we all need to be able to do is take a risk here and there. You can't grow if you don't take some risk because the reward just is going to be a lot slower to come by, or you may not have the reward. I do this. I calculate how much I can gamble, how much I can risk in my business, whether I'm doing something at a discount or um, anything that's going off script of what I usually do in my business, because it may pay off through connections or showing that I was shooting at a certain venue, whatever it may be. And it won't always pay off, but you should definitely take the risk, a calculated risk. She said that she worked many years on her business without seeing a salary. So that was like a long gamble and it paid off. Then we had Nadine Zylstra. She is the head of programming at Pinterest. One thing that I didn't realize that you mentioned is that Pinterest is all about making people feel positive. And when you think about it, it's true. And I love that. So there are 7 billion pins being saved per year that are wedding related. And in a survey to engaged couples, they said that they want smaller, more bespoke weddings. So I love that Pinterest is doing these surveys. They actually have a section for future wedding trends that we should all be checking out because that is what you want to show in your social media and your website. You want to show that you are on top of the trends. And the last speaker on day 2 was Todd Fiskus of Todd Events. He said, be careful on over delivering because clients oftentimes don't know that they're getting something gifted. An example that I can think of is giving extra time at the end of a wedding. That's something that we need to be careful about. You want to be, again, a people pleaser. I always say I want to be the Nordstrom of wedding photographers with my customer service. But again, you have to be assertive. If you're going to give something away, make sure that your clients know that you're actually gifting them something because they won't appreciate it if, let's say, you stay extra time after the wedding without letting them know or giving them something extra like a complimentary engagement session without making that specific line item on your invoice, letting them know it was this much, but I'm discounting that for you. And now today we had small breakout sessions. I chose to go to Abby Jew's. Abby Jew is a wedding photographer team. She has two other photographers on her team from New York, but I think they go all over the place. She said, perfection doesn't build trust. Gen Z wants storytelling. They want authenticity. You need to bring your audience along for the ride. When you're posting on your social media, you have to post with purpose. Showing the journey is something that will allow your potential clients to really see your vulnerability, see your process. And that's what Gen Z finds important, not just pretty pictures. I think a lot of us have been putting out pretty stuff and been somewhat perfectionist about that. But Gen Z is not about perfection at all. They appreciate seeing the journey that it took, even the challenges that you had to face to be able to shoot a wedding in surprise rain or whatever it may be. They want to feel a connection to your images. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Sam Jacobson with ID Action Consulting. I first heard Sam speak at my first Engage 4 years ago in New Orleans, and I was blown away. And I've just been so impressed since I first heard him speak with the way that he educates, with all of the knowledge that he has about the sales process. And then his wife has all of the expertise in website copy. And those go hand in hand, because what he explains is that you need to have something on your website that already speaks to your client that will make them want to reach out. He said that in 2025, couples are more cautious than ever. Budgets are tighter, markets are unpredictable, times are uncertain, and competition is thick. And I think we're all feeling that. So there are several things you can do. One of them is networking. And when you're networking, you want to stand out and be memorable. He said, perfect your intro, like when you're introducing yourself. What I loved is he said to elevate your listening skills. You can't just be interesting, you have to be interested. And he also mentioned that you should use images that trigger emotional desires, just like Abby Jew mentioned prior to him. And your website should encourage the inquiry. Okay, so I think I've exhausted everything that I've learned in a nutshell. I'm going to get ready to go to the gala tonight. I can't wait to go home and put everything that I've learned and implement it into my business. One more thing that I want to touch on is the relationships that are built at Engage. I feel like it's unlike other networking events. Everyone is just so open and friendly, and they know that they are there to engage. So it's just a very fruitful experience where it really fills your cup with education, with being able to speak to people that you look up to in the industry giants. They're all here. And also to take in what a well-executed event looks like. Thanks for joining me on my Engage journey, and I will see you next week.